Hey everybody, I'm Cedric Hawkins and welcome to the CedTalks Podcast. My guest today is my cousin, but not only is she my family, she's someone who's pretty insightful. She has some wise words, and I know she's going to provide some good encouragement and some good knowledge on the show today. So without further ado, I give to you Miss Berná Jacks. Berná, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you've helped me out in a lot of ways in the past few months, and you're very mindful, you're creative, and I was like, I've got to have you on the show.
That's nice. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got to ask you, when this pandemic first started going off, you know, you and I, we were both at CSM just doing our own things, and then the shutdown happened. How did that, affect you? Did you see it coming?
No, I didn't. And it took a turn for the worse, honestly. Like, my class, it stopped being an in-class, and basically it became an online class. And, the teachers were very understanding, the professors and stuff, but it was a struggle. It was kind of more of a thing. I don't normally do online classes. I like being in class, but I got through it. Most people got through it.
Yeah, how many classes were you doing at the time?
At the time, I think I was doing 3.
I was doing 5.
Oh, you're better than me. But with work, I try and minimize as many classes, but...
Yeah, because you're full-time, I'm part-time, so that's the difference.
Full-time, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but at the time with me, I was burnt out. Doing 5 classes on top of working in the afternoons, on top of a night class also, I was burnt out. So I was screaming hallelujah at the thought of being able to do my work online and get my hours reduced a bit.
Yeah, it was better. Eventually it was better. I can say I got through that class, got through the rest of them, and then now we're fully online, so it's fine. I like it.
How have you been, adjusting to the online setting? Have you gotten adjusted and comfortable with it?
Yeah, I've gotten completely comfortable and adjusted with it compared to the beginning of the pandemic. Like I said, it was hard, but now it's 10 times easier. I know how to submit things. I know how to email my professors and stuff like that, so it's become easier.
Yeah, in the beginning with me, I had taken online classes prior, so in the summer I started doing online classes for the first time, so I was comfortable with it, and I was pretty well known with how everything worked out. It was just that with some of my classes, they would add more work than we would do, versus in person.
In person, definitely.
So I was like, why are you trying to add all this stress to my life? We're in the middle of a pandemic, and you want to add more work to it.
Yeah, even with the group projects, those were rough too, because I had a lot of group projects because teachers didn't know how they were going to be able to fit all of the work in. So they would add group projects due by Owings. People live in Owings, you guys group together. Oh, you live in Prince Frederick, you guys group together. You live in Lusby, you group together. And some people didn't do the work, so you had to pick up the slack of others. So.
Yeah. Luckily for me, we already had our group members assigned for our big group project. It was just that nobody, including me, had really done the work until the last minute. So we're all just sitting there scrambling. And I was like, hey, if you don't do this, I'll do it for you. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Sid. Thank you. I'll pay you back. I'll cash app you something. And I was like, yeah, you better.
Yep, that's how it works.
Yeah, but what were some of the things that kept you grounded during those times before things started to open up back in June, early July?
With the whole pandemic, it was really hard for me due to my health issues. So, going to my doctor, talking to my doctor and stuff like that, making sure that I was doing the right things, taking the right precautions, vitamin D, vitamin C, all of that stuff. All of that basically helped calm my nerves down, making sure that my family was safe and okay. That helped. Just encouraging words from others as well.
Yeah.
Again, being an essential worker, being in school, it was really scary at first. So
it was, and it really was, because you're doing all these things, you're moving around so much, and there's a possibility you could catch this thing. At the time there wasn't medicine out there to help you out with it. There wasn't much known about how to treat it. So the stress levels were definitely high.
Definitely on that one.
I know with me, I might as well be transparent and open about it. I wish I was in therapy during those time periods, talking with my therapist and getting help, because I had stopped treatment at the end of January, and then everything kind of snowballed from there, from February into March, and I didn't start going back until September. So while I am grateful that I was able to get through that on my own, deal with it on my own, I still wish I had someone to talk to outside of the family versus bottling all my emotions inside and letting it kind of build up?
Right. I can say, like, with family-wise, a lot of my family was there, and like I said, encouraging words, just trying to get us all through. I can say writing down a lot of my thoughts or fears, anxiety, stuff like that helped out as well. I can say church, being online and reading the Bible and stuff like that. Like, in any time, I know I have the Bible app on my phone, so you get the little ding and it shows you like a scripture. And I can honestly say sometimes those scriptures hit home.
Yes.
Like, they really hit home. So I can say like stuff like that, even on Twitter, even on social media and platforms like that, people were posting things because everyone had different emotions and anxieties and fears or different things like that. So I know a lot of people who were posting like scriptures or daily words, daily affirmations, different things like that to help people get through. And I can say they helped me and a few others get through too.
Yeah, that Bible app does be coming in clutch. Like 7 a.m. every morning, I get that notification and a certain Bible verse that actually connects with me, connects to what I'm dealing with. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah. God's watching me.
I started adding it to where it would come every hour. So I could, if I didn't see it then, if I was doing work, homework or stuff like that, I could still later on go back, look at it and feel comfortable and appreciate it, honestly.
Yeah. Do you do meditation? Do you practice that?
No, I do not.
I think that was one thing that really helped me out a lot. Like, I just had a 133-day streak on the Daily Calm app. Okay. It's an app where you meditate and stuff. And Friday, I missed meditating. And I thought I had caught it at like 11:40 at night, but I didn't do it. Right. And yesterday, I went to meditate and it said back at day 1. I was like, oh,
man, that's
like, are you
worst.
serious?
That's kind of like a Snapchat streak.
Like, I had this long streak and now it's over with. But
man.
Meditation, it's like, I love doing that. It's just being able to ground yourself wherever you're at and just be in tune with your thoughts and just, just think about what you're going through and just ways that you can, I guess, come up with a solution for the problem. Like, that really kept me grounded and helped me in times when I felt really anxious during the pandemic.
I'm gonna have to try that. I know I've done like breathing exercises and stuff like that, but meditation, I'm gonna have to look into this. Yeah,
it's an idea. But one thing I do want to talk to you about, your perspective on protecting your peace. There's a lot of things going on in this world, things that are negative, things that tries to wear you down physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, right? And sometimes you got to protect your peace, create boundaries and barriers. In your opinion, how do you view protecting your peace?
That's a good question. I think, like you said, it's very important to protect your peace. I know one thing for me is people ask me a lot of things. They ask me to do a lot of things, and I don't know how to say no. So sometimes you have to say no. Like, you have to be able to understand or figure out when people are just using you or they're just calling you, hey, because they don't have anybody else to call and you're the best bet, but they treat you wrong.
Yeah.
So I can say that's one way, saying no to certain things. Really,
that's all you got.
Yeah. That's all I can really think of right now.
But that's a good thing, though, is saying no, because that's a big thing for me, and I'm sure a lot of people listening, they have that problem with saying no, because we're all so giving, we're so thoughtful, and we'll do anything at the drop of the hat for someone. But we have a life to live also. We also have stressors, we have things that are on our minds that we gotta take care of. And I've had situations where I've had people ask me to do something for them, and in the past I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it, and then I had a negative attitude going into it about it. And so if I had just said no and been upfront and honest with them, I would have protected myself, and that person would have been protected as well also.
Yeah, that is so true. I've been in multiple situations, like you said, where you just have a negative perspective on it going into it, and you just know that you don't want to, and instead you should just say no. But
Yeah, like food in my household. Like, every time I go out to get some food, hey, say, you going to get something to eat? I'm like, yeah. Can you give me something? I'm like, Now it's just, I kind of just sneak out the house, and I'm just like, say, you want to get food? Why ain't you get me nothing? I'm like, you got a car? You got keys? Come on now.
Or even if you're just in like a bad headspace at that moment in time, and like sometimes people know that you may be going through something, and instead they put all of their stuff on you as well.
Yeah.
And kind of just, like you said, we're most of the times forgiving people and loving people and will do any and everything for people. So it's hard because you also have to think about yourself in that time and space too. Like, sometimes people don't understand that you're going through. So it's just like, you gotta like take your emotions and you push them down. But at that time, you gotta protect your peace too. Exactly. You also have to learn to love yourself and help yourself out, and then come back to that person later on and maybe help them out when you're feeling right. So.
Yeah, my Aunt Leah always says, you're not a garbage can. You don't deserve to take on people's trash. Don't let people put their trash on you, right? If you feel like a person is in a negative headspace and you're feeling upbeat and uplifted, and you see that and you know that at the time you can't handle that, create that barrier, create that boundary, separate yourself from that. Protect your peace. Yep. We doing that in 2020, 2021, 2022. It don't matter. Protect it at all costs.
You have to, man. You have to.
But shifting gears from that, I want to talk to you about your early life growing up. Obviously, we're family, but we had a few run-ins when we were kids, but I didn't really see you as much as I did my other cousins. Right. So what was your childhood like as a kid?
Growing up in Calvert County, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely that, but it was nice. I had my grandma and my mom and my brother all living in the same house or whatever. So I went to Sunderland Elementary School, and I met a lot of people there. Before that, I went to Randall Cliff, and I met some people, and that was fun too. Like I said, it was pretty interesting growing up here. I mean, like, my grandma and my mom were basically my core and my rocks in my life. They've helped me get through 21 years, basically. So, yeah. Did
you come up in the church as a kid?
I did. I went to a church over in White Plains and like Ward-off area. I don't know. My uncle's church, my uncle and aunt's church, and I went to church every Sunday, faithfully. And even when I wouldn't go there, I would go to Mount Hope, our family church.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And that was another thing that I did with my grandma, faithfully. We would do, if it wasn't Thomas Day or if it wasn't just going to church in general, like, it was a thing that you were going to go to church. And I loved it. I had no complaints on going to church. Whether it was, like I said, with my grandma, my aunt and uncles, we were up bright and early, 7, going to church. So
yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. My great grandfather, Pete Paul, he spoiled me and AJ a lot. We would go to church as kids, and we wouldn't want to be upstairs. And he would take us downstairs. We'd sit there and play games, sit there and eat food and all that. And then it's like, when I got back into church when I was 12, my mom was like, "Oh no, we going to church. You ain't going nowhere. You can't get out of the Sunday."
Right.
And so I started, religiously going, and then that's when I got baptized again. And pretty much I was religiously going and following God's word, meditating on everything that he was saying. Right. But it didn't really click to me at the time. When I got older, about 16, 17, it really started to click for me, why we go to church, why we follow God's purpose, and why we keep him in his life.
Right. And I think that's kind of like with me. I had a whole phase where I stopped going to church. I'm not even gonna lie. I stopped going to church, and like you said, as I got older, I realized, like, okay, this is why we go to church. It was like a connection, like it clicked. Everything just clicked. Like all the questions you have as a kid, it all just made sense then. So
yeah, and plus when you start reading some of the stories too, and you get to know the different characters, and you learn that, okay, it's okay that I'm flawed, because David was flawed, or Moses, he was flawed as well. You just start learning about all of these different characters and how they had struggles also, and that makes your struggles on earth okay, because God has written our lives before we were even born. Like, he knows our stories, he knows what we're going to do, what we're not going to do, all of our mistakes. And so it's all about keeping him first and always going to him.
Right. I definitely like reading the Bible. Like you said, there's a lot of interesting stories in it. And as I get older now, I'm like, oh, okay, it's more understandable and relatable. So
what were some of the morals and values that your mother and your grandmother taught you growing up?
There was a lot. There's a lot, but I can say one was like to love one another. Like, always, family was a big thing. Family is completely a big thing. So family is valued a lot. Like a lot. Coming from my grandmother having 10 kids, and then her being one of 15 and all of that, family is definitely the most important thing. And that's what they taught us. No matter what, family is all that you basically have. That's where they stood with that. And like loving one another and making sure that we all take care of each other. And like that became a big thing after my grandmother had passed away. So even before, it was a big thing, but it was more valued and more taken. Like we all stuck together. So that's one of the things. There's so many more, but yeah. That's one of the key things.
Yeah, respect was definitely a common thing growing up in my family. Going around showing respect to others.
Definitely.
Doesn't matter how they treat you. You got to be the mature one in the situation to brush it off. And that's hard because our pride will get the better of us. And sometimes we want to be petty back to them. We want to we want to show them how we feel. But being able to turn the other cheek as Jesus would do,
right,
that's what makes us stronger as Christians and stronger as people, having that maturity to walk away.
And especially, in our family, respecting our elders.
Oh, yeah. You don't respect your elders, that's your tail.
Yeah, you get disrespectful if you want to.
Yeah, you can talk to me if you want to.
Definitely.
Yeah, but shifting gears from that, I know you were very close with your grandmother, and when she passed away, that really affected you. Talk me through those time periods. How did you cope with that?
So in the beginning, we knew my grandma was sick. So my mother, being a nurse, she basically took me and my brother through the steps of grief and the steps of death, the process. And it prepared me and my brother a little bit more than what we expected. Like I said, as you grow older or get older, you realize the things that others were saying then, how you're able to understand them more than what you did then. I think I was in middle school, 8th grade or so, when my grandma passed away. So, I'm still a little immature then. At that time, I didn't really want to believe whatever my mom was saying. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But from there, her preparing us with those steps, it then prepared for once she passed away. And then once she passed away, it became a thing of me going through the process myself of grief. And it took a long time. A long time, a long process. Even till this day, I still have my moments and my times when I'm just I just want my grandma here, and I grieve. And it's completely normal to grieve. Some people don't think it is, or there's a process, but you're supposed to get over it in this time. It's been a year or two, but it's hard. It's really, really hard. And like I said, with holidays and stuff like that, definitely. But staying close to my family helped me get through the process of my grandma passing away, and reading the Bible, reading the Word. I was given the note cards, basically, with scriptures on it. I tell you, scriptures are what helps me out the most. Someone gave me a scripture, and it was, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I put that up on my mirror, and every morning, getting dressed for school, whatever it was, I looked at that scripture and I repeated it to myself, and I said, okay, I'm gonna get through this, I'm gonna be okay. And from there, it just became a process. And like I said, it was a long process, but my family and God and everything else got me through it.
Yeah, that's incredible. I know with me, tomorrow will be the 3-month anniversary of my dad's passing. Mm-hmm. Some days it seems real and it does hit home. Mm-hmm. Other times you'll have certain memories of stuff that happened back in the spring or back in the summer, and it doesn't seem real. Mm-hmm. And I have my moments and I have my days. I don't want people to think just because I do a podcast, every week or so, or that I'm smiling, that, my life is just perfect. It's not perfect. I have my bad days, my days where I'm sad and I feel like just blocking everybody out and just sticking up my middle finger and being F you,
right.
F, all of this. But it's keeping my family close and, talking to God about it, asking God what he wants from me, tomorrow, or what he wants from me today. Just trying to be present and mindful. It's definitely hard. It's easier said than done.
Definitely.
But I have times when I do practice those things and, the days do get better.
Right.
I'm starting to see my days get better. There used to be maybe 2 or 3 days out of the week where I was happy. Now it's 3 or 4 days now.
That's good.
Yeah,
definitely. And like I said as well, I've talked to you about like poetry, writing down my thoughts or different things like that was another outlet for me, because I know my grandma, she used to write poems and different things like that. And as she passed away, like cleaning out her stuff, we found books of poetry and different things like that. So I felt like a connection. I felt like I had my grandma there with me. So I started writing different things or writing poems or stuff. And it might not be the greatest thing in the whole world. Might not rhyme. It might not be in haikus and all this other
Shakespeare stuff. We're no Shakespeare.
None of that. But it's still a way that I got to get my emotions out without lashing out or without like getting too upset. And trust me, there was plenty of days where I felt the same way, like everyone F you, get out of my face, or just wanting to be alone, even not wanting to be around family, just shutting myself out. But at the same time, those are some of the ways that actually help me to get out of my depressive stage or anxiety stage or just being in grief. Family and writing my emotions and feelings down.
Yeah, one of the biggest things you taught me was to actually let my emotions like out, like don't keep it in.
Yeah.
Because I'll admit, before his passing, I was someone who always kept my emotions bottled into myself. I would go to maybe 1, maybe 2 people about how I felt, but I always felt that my feelings were not valid because I'm a man, right? I'm supposed to be a man. I have to be the strong one. I can't let my emotions fade me in front of people. And there are some people you can't let your emotions show because they'll just pick up on it and they'll just pounce on you. But I kept my stuff in. And I remember like probably the month or 2 afterwards when he passed, I kept stuff in, and I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't really know who to talk to because I only talked to my therapist 45 minutes to an hour once a week. And after that, I'm pretty much left to my own devices. Yeah. So there would be times where I would talk to God about it. I'd be like, God, what do you want me to do? And he's just like, be transparent, be open, be honest about how you feel. And I'd be like, be open, honest. People ain't gonna understand. And he was like, no, people will understand. It's just the right people that you have to talk to. Definitely. So I talked to you, I got a few friends I talked to, and I got family. And that helps me a lot, not only with my father's passing, but even with my own insecurities, things that bother me, because we're going into the winter. The winter is a terrible time period with anxiety, depression, just all of that. So finding that community, that balance of just talking to people and just letting them listen. They don't even have to give me advice. Just them sitting there and listening to how I feel. That's what really, helps me. That's what keeps me grounded.
Like I told you, a lot of men find as though letting their emotions out and go in the open is just a bad thing. You don't do that. Most men find that as traditional, basically, like something that they're always taught. Like, you don't show your fears, you don't show your emotions, you don't show any of that, you keep it in. But I've come to realize keeping in your emotions and stuff like that, it's only going to turn up into a big ball of fire inside of you, and then you're just gonna lash out. So you have to be able to find a way to get your emotions out. And like you said, whether it's basically finding the right people to talk to, because some people will use it against you later on. Yeah. And they'll turn it into a whole big thing. But there are a lot of people out here that, even though they're not saying it, they're going through the same things. So it's nice when you have someone to talk to, because even with you talking to me, I'm able to talk to you and kind of like let out my emotions and tell you how I felt or how I feel and get some of my stress and just talk to you about it, and it's like you understand. So
yeah, and
it's nice.
And it also ties into protecting your peace, because like you said, people ain't gonna understand. They're gonna twist your words, and then you're gonna leave the conversation feeling more worse than you did going into it. So, and I've had those instances where I've talked to family members or I've talked to friends, and they gave me just terrible advice. Sometimes people are gonna tell you what you need to hear, and I understand that, but sometimes people would tell you things and it's like, what? Move on, let them go. What does that mean? And so I'll just go, okay, you're in a timeout. I'm just going to put you in a timeout. I'm going to put you in a box. I'm not going to talk to you for a little bit until I feel mature enough to have a conversation with you so I don't explode and say some things that I'm going to regret.
And even like you said, sometimes it can be your own family that you can't talk to, or that you can't get the necessarily like all of the things that you need out of it. And again, even though my grandma and my mom taught me family was a big thing, sometimes not everybody is going to understand, whether it's family, friends, co-workers. They're the naysayers, kind of. There's always people who are going to have negative opinions and stuff, so I understand that one.
Yeah, absolutely. But, I'm still doing my thing, still, trying to be strong. People say I'm a strong person. I'm just like, nah.
You are a strong person. Trust me, you are.
Sometimes it don't feel like that when I have those bad days.
I
but
know.
Yeah.
But you are, definitely.
Yeah, thank you. And you are too,
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so shifting gears from that, talk to me about some of the hobbies you like to do on your downtime.
Like I said, one is poetry, writing. I like to do that. Again, I'm not a very interesting person.
Oh, I'm not interesting either. Trust me, I'm not.
I like spending time with my family. Again, I'm a big family person. So most of my time is now with COVID, it's not. But
right.
I like to spend time with my family and my aunts. Like I said, there's 10 of them, including my mom. So 9 of them. And I'm always around my family. And then with them being 9 to 10, there comes the cousins and all of that. So it's like I'm always with my family. You'll always find me with 1, 2, or 3 of them. But that and hanging out with friends, I mean, right now work and school is consuming my life.
Right.
But
it's consuming everybody's life with COVID.
Definitely. But yeah.
But I mean, that's just what it needs to be. It just needs to be that simple. So many people, they're out here traveling, out here partying, turning it up. We're in the middle of a pandemic. They out here doing all those things. But I'm not the most interesting person myself. I just do a podcast. I like to, write poetry also, write little short stories. I'm trying to get back into reading. Like, I've literally bought 2 or 3 books in the last few weeks.
You sound like me.
Haven't even read them or touched them yet.
Hey, you'll have time now. School's almost done.
Exactly. I got this week.
Me.
I got this week.
I have one book too that I have just sitting there waiting for me. But
and then
it's all within time.
And then coloring. I like to color a lot.
Yes, I like to color and paint too. That is something I did forget. I do like to do that.
I haven't colored in about 2 or 3 weeks. I blame it on the kids at work. I let them color one of the pictures that I had, and they mixed all of my markers together.
Oh my!
And now I'm just turned off by the fact of coloring.
Sounds about right.
But I'll get back into it though. I'll get that inspiration.
You can definitely tell we're family. We have a lot of common interests.
But that's good though. I mean, like, I've always loved to write. Like, even in school, like, I was a terrible test taker, just awful. I would always just bomb tests, even if I studied for them. Like, I took an AP class here, and like, I would always bomb the tests. I could pass the vocab quizzes, but you put a test in front of me, just bomb it.
Yep.
But on the writing sections, on like essays, I would always do very well. So I was like, okay, so maybe I got a niche for writing.
Right. That's kind of like how I was. I would get nervous, like on the Scantrons and stuff like that. But the writing part, give me a prompt and I'm good. I used to take creative writing at Northern. And I loved it so much that I just started taking those classes to the point where they were like, you can't take any more of these classes, right? You finished all of your electives. And I'm like, no, why? But we had to do for one of our creative writing classes, like a whole portfolio. And I got to put all of my stuff together and I was like, wow. I was really impressed with myself because over the years, all of my stuff was put in one little binder. And it was just amazing to me. So from there, I continued to do my own little creative writing or prompts and different stuff like that. Yeah,
it's very fulfilling and rewarding to look back at your old work that you did probably a few years ago and you say, man, like, I wrote that. Like, I did that. And in a time where I was in a very bad headspace. Like, I did that on my own.
or even just to see like from back then to now how your writing styles have changed or different things like that. It's nice.
Yeah, like I've looked back at poems that I've written 2 years ago and I'm like, man, I did this 2 years ago, but now I have a little bit more experience. So how about let me change a few words, let me change a few phrases in this just to make it better. Put some stank on it. Put some spice
pizzazz.
on it. Put pizzazz on it.
Definitely.
Are you big into journaling?
Not really. I wanted to start journaling. Like, I started looking into it because different people do different things.
Exactly.
Like journaling. So I found, I don't even remember, on Instagram, TikTok, somewhere, a platform where this one girl, she does like journaling, but she does different doodles in the journal and like different words and stuff and like calligraphy. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But then I was like, I don't have the time for all of that.
Right.
So have you thought about journaling?
I mean,
do you journal?
I have a bunch of journals that my aunts have given me, and they're all just stacked up in my room. And I don't really write in the journals. I usually write in the notes section on my phone.
Same here.
When I have like bad days, and I'll just do that. But with the journals they gave me, I'll write different short stories in there.
Right.
So if I have an idea in mind that I want to write about, I'll just write it in there. Like at work, I carry a notebook around, and if I have some downtime and the kids are watching a movie, or if they're just outside playing and I can actually just sit down for a little bit, I'll write whatever's in my mind, and I'll just do that. But for the most part, I just write down on my notes how I'm feeling. If I want to talk to my therapist about something and I know I won't remember it, I'll just write, okay, today was a good day. I felt a little sad today, but I came through in the end. Or I slept okay, or I didn't sleep too great last night, but I'm awake today. So
most of the times, like you said, that's what I do. I'll write my stuff in my notes. I have a few journals around, and like I said, I thought about doing the little doodle ones where you're doing all the little cute artsy different colors, different markers and stuff, but most of the times it's just me using my notes. And like you said, you can lock some of them, so like if someone goes on your phone, they can't see it or stuff like that. I mean, nobody really touches it, but like if I lose it or stuff like that, it's backed up in the cloud or whatever and all that. But yeah, most of my stuff is in my notes. Our phones are pretty much handy all the time.
Of course.
I feel like you said, if I'm trying to remember something and I might not remember it later, I go straight to my notes.
Yeah, that's how you know.
I'll type and write anything in my notes.
That's how you know you're getting old. We're getting old. We're just forgetting stuff left
or
and right.
Or we just have a lot going on.
Yeah, we got a lot going on. It's a combination of both. Like, I got sticky notes. I'll write something on a sticky note. I'll put it in my room. Put it in my car. Put it somewhere because I'm going to forget.
Definitely. If not, I set reminders or different things.
Yeah, like I'm supposed to be getting my wisdom teeth out next month. And I was supposed to pick up my prescription the day after Thanksgiving. I was supposed to pick it up.
Oh, no.
I forgot to do it. I came back last week. I was like, hey, my name is such a call because I'm coming to pick up my prescription. They were like, I'm sorry, sir, we dumped it out.
Oh,
I'm like, you
goodness.
dumped it out? They're like, yeah, we dumped it out. You didn't come back. So I made up some lie. I was like, well, I was on vacation. So I decided I was going to quarantine for 2 weeks. I didn't want to go out, but can I still get my prescription? They're like, oh yeah, we'll just refill it for you tomorrow.
Oh my.
I was
your defense is after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, exactly.
That's your defense.
But shifting gears from that, how was your time at Northern High? Because we went to different high schools.
Northern High, again, was very interesting.
Oh yeah.
It's predominantly, obviously, a white school. It wasn't, like I said, I knew a lot of people. I didn't do sports. I did like student government association. I did minority scholars and different clubs like that. But Northern was just Northern.
Look at you. You put yourself out there doing all those programs and activities.
I tried. I really did, because I wanted to do sports, but, never made any teams. But that's okay. It's okay.
I ain't do no sports either.
I tried out for different things and just didn't make it. And so I found alternatives.
Right.
And, one of my favorite, I really, really enjoyed doing SGA because, that's where you do all of the homecoming. You get to plan all of that. And that was fun. I did that with a couple of my friends, and you got to stay after school, different things. So that became fun. And then I had one of my favorite teachers, Miss Butler, did minority scholars, and we got to go on different field trips, different things, and it really opened my eyes up with a lot of opportunities in the world. And her and Miss Jackson and Miss Perry, they opened up a lot of opportunities for us for college and different things. So
do you feel like it's important for people to put themselves out there and try to do different activities?
I do. If I could give a high schooler advice right now, I mean, we're in a pandemic, but like, I would tell them to try as many activities in school as they can. Put themselves out there. It looks good on your college resume, like all of your transcripts and everything like that. If I could have did more, or if I would have thought about it, I definitely would have did more.
Yeah.
It's fun. Most of them are fun. You get to get the experience and the opportunity. You get to meet new people. It was fun for me and cool.
Yeah,
like I said, I wish I did more.
I didn't do that stuff in high school. Like, I guess sometimes I wish I did do that, but everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do think, like, what if I did do it different? What if I put myself out there more? Because I always feel like I was always a social person. Like, even now, like, I have hidden charismatic qualities about me.
Right.
Sometimes I just don't like to show it to other people or put it out there. But I think that was always in me in high school. I just really didn't know how to, pull it out or actually, like, use it, because I was always worried about what people would think of me, what my friend group would think of me if I did do stuff like that. But now that I realize, since I'm been out of high school for 2-3 years now, none of that stuff really mattered. All my insecurities, because all those people that I was worried about, they're out here living their life.
Yep.
I'm living my life. So now I just have to take advantage of the opportunities I have now to make my name known.
Definitely. And like I said, I had friends that we were pushing each other to do different things and to be great, basically. So with those two, we would just go and try out for different sports. We would try and do different activities, different dance class, all this extra stuff. Like, all the things that we could do, we basically pushed each other to be great and to do it. So I do appreciate them a lot for that, because I'm the type of person where I used to think, like, okay, just like you, I wonder how my friends will look at me if I go and do this club, or I wonder how I'll be viewed if I do this, or I always thought or listen to other people's opinions. And like you said, now it really doesn't matter, because I'm just, like I said, grateful that my friends actually pushed me to do something, or we all helped and pushed each other.
Right.
So,
what inspired you to go to CSM versus attending a 4-year institution or a university?
Money.
Yeah.
I can honestly say, like, I'm always my grandma, my mom, and my family has always taught me, like, if a man don't work, man don't eat, basically. So woman don't work, woman don't eat. So I pushed myself to stay here and to try and do CSM so that I could also work. And I mean, you can do that at a 4-year college or anything like that, but I figured staying home would be better. And also, I didn't want to leave my mommy yet.
I was the same.
I didn't want to leave my mommy yet, but I now I'm kind of like, I'm gonna leave you soon. I hope you know that. But it just made me want to stay home even more. My family made me want to stay home. And then, like I said, money. I wanted to be able to start saving, because eventually I would transfer, go somewhere else. But I wanted to be able to have money, or I wanted to be able to pay any of the stuff that I needed for, like, school. Y'all know it's a lot. It's expensive. So if you're not getting scholarships or stuff like that, financial aid help, all of that, you're gonna need to have some of your own money to help pay it off later.
Yeah.
So
unless you're rich and you got like $15 million sitting in the bank,
right?
You can just
Yeah. I wish.
Yeah.
But I know, like, it wasn't that. It's not gonna be that easy. So I decided staying home would help. And I mean, working at the child care center has helped, because they're understanding with my schedule and stuff. So then getting the full-time position, it was nice. It's nice.
Yeah, like when I was 17, like I really didn't have a desire to leave home. Like so many people who I know in this county, they're like, I hate Calvert County. I'm tired of this county. I'm ready to leave. I'm getting out of here. And some people do leave. They go out, they do big things, right? And they never look back. And then some people, they leave, and then they come back.
And then they come right back.
And they come right back here. And so I didn't want to be like that. I didn't want to take that chance on myself when I knew I wasn't ready for that.
Exactly.
Like school-wise, academic-wise, I'm sure I would have been able to handle it going to a university, but social-wise, I really wasn't secure in myself yet, and sharing a dorm with another person or, being around a large group of people. So I was just like, I'm going to just choose CSM and, grind. Hopefully, socially, I'll be able to mature, become more secure in myself. So when I do go off to university, I'll be ready for all of that stuff.
Exactly. And that was another thing. I wasn't ready to be in a dorm with somebody that I completely didn't know. And I know some colleges, they try and pair you with people in your county or like from around your area, but I like my personal bubble and space, and sometimes people don't know how to respect that.
I like my privacy, man.
Exactly.
It goes back to protecting your peace.
Exactly. Definitely. Yeah. So from there, I was just like, I'll stay home for a little while longer. Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'll have days where I just want to shut the door. I don't want no one to bother me.
Yeah.
It could be 8:30, 9 o'clock. I'm going to sleep. Who's to say my roommate won't go to bed till 2, 3 in the morning?
Exactly.
I got to hear their BS, deal with their BS. I'm like, no, I ain't doing it.
Definitely. That's how I felt. So I said I'll just stay. And even with the showering thing.
Yeah, I didn't want to get into it, but now that you
shower shoes
brought
and
it up.
Stuff. Yeah. I'm okay. But now, like, if I were to transfer like you have, you would be able to get your own apartment, or you wouldn't be a freshman. So you have so many more opportunities. Like being a freshman, you're not allowed to have your car in some places.
Exactly.
You're with the roomie. Now you can just be in your own apartment, or you can have your own room. And I mean, again, with COVID, most people do have their own dorms or separate dorms because of the whole thing. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to do it.
What led you to working at Prime Time?
Let's see. One of my friends' grandmother works there. I'm not going to state any names right now, but she worked there, and she was working there as well at the time. And she was like, you really like working with kids, or that's what you're trying to go to school for? And she said, just come work there. So I went and I applied and I got the job. And in the process of that, I saw so many other people that I knew there. And from there, that's where I am now. Yeah. And like, my degree is for early childhood education, so it prepares me for when I actually do get my degree. I can be a teacher, and I already know how to lesson plan or different things like that, and that's pretty much a help for me. I really like working there and being around my friends and stuff now. It's become like a little family.
I would say with me, I was watching Super Nanny with my grandmother. And I was thinking like, oh, these kids are cute. Like, it'd be so cool if I work with kids. I'm good with the kids at my church. So, why don't I find a daycare locally that I can apply to? And sure enough, I typed in daycare on Google close to me or near me, and they were the first ones to pop up. But I was in a bad headspace at that time when I first applied there. My internship was over with the Calvert County, and I didn't want to go back to work in retail. I knew I wouldn't work out well in a restaurant. And I was just searching, trying to find something that I can do that allows me to be creative.
Right.
And so when I applied there, I was just like, God, this is it. It's all or nothing. It's now or never. So I applied there, and they were like, yeah, we'll get back to you in spring break, and then we'll do an interview. So I didn't know that my spring break is different from the elementary school's spring break.
Yeah.
So my spring break was in like mid-March. Their spring break was in like mid-April. So I'm just thinking, they don't want me. I might as well go find something else.
Right.
And sure enough, I got the call and I got the job. And now a year and a half later, you and I are working in different buildings, but we're still there. Staying alive.
It's fun though.
It is.
Like you said, the creativity part, you're allowed to be as creative as you want with those kids, and they enjoy it and they love it, and it's cool because they grow up, obviously. Like, some of the kids that I had are in your building now, and you see how they've grown and how much they process from all of the things that you did with them, and it's like, wow. Like, that's the best part. That's the most rewarding part, is seeing how much they've grown and how much you actually help them out.
Yeah.
So.
Do you see yourself starting your own like daycare center, or do you just want to work for a center?
I've thought about it, but there's a lot of things that come behind it. A lot of things. And especially like with trying in the county, there's so much behind it. But I would love to have my own daycare. I would love to. I think it would be fun. And I think I could also help incorporate some of my family members who have been in the school system and stuff like that with it. But again, that would take some time. So for now, prime time, we're good. And hopefully maybe the school system too.
Yeah, exactly.
Even once I get my degree and stuff like that. I don't think I'll stay locally in Calvert. I kind of want to go to like PG or somewhere working in the school system just because.
Right.
But
where do you see yourself going to after CSM when you get your degree or when you transfer?
I do want to transfer to Bowie. Between Bowie, Towson, and St. Mary's, but Bowie is at the top of the list right now.
Bowie, Bulldog, woo woo.
Bowie is at the top of the list right now. It's local. It's not too far away, but it's not too close to home. It's kind of neutral.
Right.
And then like Towson has their teaching program, so if I were to go to Towson, I could just transfer like my credits and stuff like that. So between those three, that's where I would like to go. Those seem like the schools that fit me best.
Yeah.
But like I said, Bowie is at the top.
Everybody goes to Towson though. No offense to people.
That's what I'm saying.
No offense to people who go to Towson, but everybody goes to Towson.
Everyone does go to Towson, and that was my thing in high school. I was like, it's gonna be a high school 2.0 if I go to Towson.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know if I'm ready for that, but at the same time, the teaching program at Towson is really, really good.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
So I wouldn't mind going to Towson.
Yeah, I've had lots of cousins and family members who have gone to Bowie, and they were in their teaching program. So their program appeals me. As soon as I finish my 5 prerequisites, the goal for me is to get in the program and just start taking my education classes and start knocking them out so I can get within the school system.
I can honestly say I love taking education classes. It's so interesting.
It is.
It really is.
It's like learning how to do a lesson plan. I thought it would be absolutely terrible and awful, but it's actually fun to actually plan out what you're going to teach, how you're going to, teach that information, and then get that feedback back from your students.
Yeah, that's probably the lesson planning. Everyone thinks it's horrible in the beginning, but it really isn't. That's really the best part about it, because you get to come up with your own ideas.
Yeah.
You can get help from other places, but it's like you already know what you're going to teach your kids, and you get to do it. Nobody else is doing it but you.
Yeah. The one thing that sucked about COVID was I couldn't do any observations this semester because I couldn't go into the schools. And that was so much fun doing at CSM at the daycare, observing different classes and seeing how everybody teaches their stuff, watching how the kids learn versus just seeing them play and act wild and rambunctious. Like, all of that was actually fun, and I wanted to actually do that in an actual school setting.
Right.
Who knows when I'll ever get the chance to do that.
Yeah, you and me both, because that's one of my last classes to graduate as well. So I don't know when that's gonna happen, but like you said, I think it's really cool observing each and every classroom, because each teacher has a different teaching style. So even working at the daycare, like how I teach the kids, other teachers have different ways of learning and stuff, and I'm learning from them. So it's kind of, like I said, it's nice being at the daycare, because it helps me to realize, like, you don't just have to teach it this way. You can teach it this way, or you can teach it this way, and make it interesting for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something I learned too, because there would be times where I felt like, I'm teaching these kids to do something and they're doing it my way, and then I have another person who's more experienced than I am and they're doing it a different way. So it's like, well, am I doing it wrong? But it's like, my ideas are true and they're valid, and so if it's working with them, then I might as well do it, right? If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Hey, definitely.
Yeah, but shifting gears from that, I want to talk about, religion. What was the first moment when you really felt God's presence and you felt him, talk to you and connect with you?
Like I said, I had strayed away from church and stuff like that. I can say with my grandmother passing away, I stepped away for a little while, but I think that was one of the biggest times when I felt God's presence and I felt like he got me through everything. Another one is my accident. From there, I questioned nothing else. I church faithfully started going back, because that day, till this day, I still don't know how I made it out of that accident. And again, God, that's all. That's the only answer to it, is God and his angels protected me from everything. And that's another main moment when I felt God's presence.
Yeah, it's amazing how he works and everything is on his time, right? It's not on our time. One of my favorite scriptures is trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, but on his. Right. And so it's being able to drop your pride, drop how you feel, because it's not about how you feel. It's about how he feels and when he's gonna bless you. And if he sees you putting in the work, seeing you doing what you got to do, that's when he'll bless you in the end and he'll support you.
Definitely.
He's very, very forgiving.
Yes.
I will say that.
Yes.
He's a forgiving God.
Yes,
sometimes I think he's just on the throne, just shaking his head.
Definitely. That's how I feel. Some things I'm like, oh, sorry.
Exactly.
Gotta ask for forgiveness on it.
And shifting gears from that, we're coming up into the new year, 2021. What are some of the goals that you have in mind for yourself coming up?
Some of my goals. One is to finish with my degree at CSM, get that knocked out the way so that I can transfer, since we have been talking about that. That's probably the biggest thing. That's right now my biggest goal, is to get all of that situated and done. Mm-hmm. So that way I can make my parents and my family proud and say I have a degree. Even though it's an associate, it's still a degree. And I'm moving forward. Definitely. But that has to be my biggest thing.
Yeah, it's definitely rewarding and fulfilling to get that associate's. Even though I didn't get the chance to walk the stage, like that's the bad part. It's like I still have a degree. Like there are times when I don't even think about it, and they be like, you got a degree from CSM. It's like I did.
Oh my!
Sometimes I feel like the bachelor's is the only thing I'm supposed to be chasing,
right.
But I did the thing. I graduated within 2 years. Not a lot of people can say they graduated within 2 years exact out of community college.
Definitely. I can't even say
CSM's a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm burying CSM.
Yeah.
Talking about you graduate in 2 years and then you keep adding all these classes, or you change your major and then that changes everything.
Yeah. They're famous for doing that.
Yeah. But I would say with me, definitely continuing to stay spiritual, keep God first place. I want to get 100 episodes of the podcast. Obviously, I shouldn't be just chasing that. I should still be putting out content, trying to be present and mindful, but just building the podcast up and staying organized too, because sometimes I can be very disorganized, discombobulated. So I just want to stay organized and stay, structured, stay on my purpose.
Yep. Sounds about right.
Yep.
Staying on my purpose.
Yep. My final question to you before I go ahead and wrap this up is, if you could give a piece of advice to anyone going through some type of struggle right now, what would you say to them?
Just stay strong and stay true to yourself. In the end, at the end of the tunnel, there is always a light, and just keep pushing.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes by Walt Disney is, keep moving forward. I feel like so many times in life we get discouraged and we just have things that are just trying to break us, and to have the willpower to keep moving forward in spite of that is what keeps you going and what keeps you encouraged and encourages other people to do the same.
Yep.
Well, Berná, I want to thank you so much for your time. I know before I hit this record button, you were very nervous about doing this,
Definitely.
But you killed this. Like we did the thing. You know what I mean? This conversation flowed very well.
Thank you for having me again. I'm privileged.
Yeah, absolutely. This wraps up episode 56 of the CedTalks Podcast. Stay blessed and stay encouraged. I'll be with y'all soon.